Okay. Good evening. I'm Erik Hempel. I work for the North Fishing Foundation. And we're going to have a little talk this evening about ghost gear and plastic pollution in the oceans. What can we do? Unfortunately, we had a last-minute cancellation, but we'll still go ahead and see what we can tell each other. Ghost gear, fishing equipment, which is lost at sea, is a big problem. And it continues to be even bigger. We see it along our coast, but the worst part is that it keeps fishing long after it's lost at sea and kills lots of fish and marine animals. I have some figures here that I have from Undercurrent News. About 670 tons of ghost gear, including more than 118 kilometers of rope, have been removed from the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans over the last 2 years. That's a lot of garbage. But this is just a drop in the ocean, and we need to do something to avoid having a really bad situation. WWF is calling on governments to develop a legally binding global plastic pollution treaty that addresses this fundamental threat to marine wildlife. And some of the people present here today are trying to do something about it, thank God. We are very fortunate in having a select group of people with us to talk about this. By link to Canada, we have the Honourable Jamie Fox, who is presently Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture and Chair of the Atlantic Canadian Fisheries Ministers. He's been elected for 8 years and has held the position as Fisheries Minister since May 2019. He's a native of New Brunswick, who joined the Canadian Armed Forces and served in the Royal Canadian Artillery and Military Police. We also have a familiar face in Sig Hansen, who's probably the most famous fisherman on earth today. I've watched you many times, and I'm glad I'm not on board with you, because the sea looks a bit rough at times. Anyway, he's the captain of the fishing vessel Northwestern, and that is known from Discovery Channel's Deadliest Catch, which is transmitted to I don't know how many countries, but hundreds, right?
Over 100, yeah.
Over 100. And he's been doing this for 18 seasons. But now he's very interested in cleaning up the ocean too. And he's become a major investor in the company Resqunit, which is working on that. And we do have a representative of Resqunit in Helge Treto Olsen, who's the CEO of the technology company Resqunit. He has extensive experience in entrepreneurship and business development and has founded several successful companies with electronics and software technology. First, I thought I'd let you all just give a short introduction of why this is interesting to you, why this is important. And I think we'll start with Jamie. If you could just let us know how you are engaged in this, why this is important to your country and your province. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. I welcome this opportunity. In Atlantic Canada, of course, we are tied very strongly to the fishery. Specifically in Prince Edward Island, it's worth $1.2 billion in GDP. So every part of the island is engaged in the fishery, and I think we all owe it to the environment and owe it to the world. We are users of the oceans. no matter where they are. And I think we all owe it to the world to do our part to try to clean up, and I'll say it, some of the mess we've made over the years, and to do everything we can to protect the oceans and the sea and all species of life across the world. So it's a good fit for us in the province and Atlantic Canada, and as good stewards of the water and users.
Thank you. Sig, have you encountered this problem in your work as a fisherman?
Well, for me, I mean, I've been, I was fishing at a tender age of 12 years of old, 1978.
Wow.
And I can't count how many pots that we've lost over those years. And I tell you what, and Jamie said it right, we made a mess of things. This is a responsibility. This is my chance to rectify what I did wrong. And, and I've said it before, but it is the wave of the future. This is the next step for the next generation. And if you want another generation, you got to make it right, man, because it's not right the way we're doing it. Now we have technology where you can actually retrieve these lost pots or any lost fishing gear. All of it is right there at our fingertips. I mean, it's a new world, and I want to be a part of that. That'll be my mark.
Good. And you have gotten together with these guys at Resqunit too, and to tell us more about what you actually do, how it works. Yep. Helge, can you go into some detail about that? Not too technical, please. But
not too technical, no. I just add to a little bit of what you started out talking about, some of the numbers, because you have, in the industry, you have 10% loss. So every year, 10% of all fishing gear, on average, is lost. And that amounts to some staggering amount of fishing gear. You're talking between 500,000 and 1 million tons every year. And since the 70s, a lot of this gear is made of plastic.
Yeah.
So that means that they don't disappear within a few years. The plastic takes up to 600 years to disintegrate. And these traps and this fishing gear, they continue to fish in perpetuity. So they catch fish, the fish die and become bait for the next generation. And this goes on and on and on. So what we did is we made a simple, affordable solution where you have a backup buoy system. And you can program that with an app. You can set it to 5 days or to 10 days or 2 days or whatever suits you. And when you lose that trap and the timer comes to zero, the backup buoy goes up to the surface with a rope still attached to the trap, so now you can retrieve your fishing gear. And we are now expanding and making that, as Sig Hansen told you about, with satellite, with sensors, with a lot of different technology on it. And you can also use that on nets and other type of fishing gear. The product we have now is for traps.
Okay.
But next year we are also covering nets, which is also a huge problem.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. This sounds really exciting, but it must cost money to do this.
It costs money to develop, for sure. Yeah. So we've been doing this for now since, I think, late 2017. So we've been at this for a few years now. Now we're at the point where we met with Jamie Foxx, and I think we met him at an expo in Canada. And we have a distribution set up there, and we are now selling product in Canada from early next year.
Okay.
So this is a good opportunity, and I think the fisheries in PEI, specifically the lobster fisheries, is a perfect market for our products.
Yeah, Jamie, does your government support this, or is it your personal interest in it mainly, or both?
Thank you. I think it's an example of how technology is going to help our industries, and I'm very interested in Resqunit. I've seen it actually in action in Norway. I was actually first introduced to it in Moncton, New Brunswick, at a demonstration there, and it's a very simple solution to a larger problem, in my opinion. I think that it's a way of limiting ghost gear, decreasing, damage to the environment, and providing a solution that industry can invest in for the future of our waters.
I was just wondering, for the individual fishermen, what do these losses represent in terms of money? You have any idea every year?
For me, for example, we use much bigger pots, right?
Yeah.
So a lobster pot's going to cost you less than a big Alaskan crab pot. But back in the day, we were paying $300 a pot. Today, I'm looking at $1,800 to $2,000 a pot.
Wow.
That adds up. And if the ice comes down and it wipes us out, and you're fishing with $200, $2,000 pots.
Wow.
That adds up fast. So
let me add to that, because you have the traps and you also have the rope and you have the buoys.
Yeah.
But maybe the most important part is the catch inside the trap. That's where the big value is, because when you lose a trap, you also lose the catch.
Yes.
And the Canadian fishermen, they have, I think, $1,000 revenue per trap. Is that right, Jamie?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So when you lose that trap, you
and I think they're also tagged. I think you only get so many, right?
Yeah.
So if we only get so many, so if you have to tag every pot, you only get so many. So every time you lose one, you're out of revenue. And so it's very simple math, and it's a good insurance policy. That's all it is, Yeah,
I was going to ask, how much would it cost to install this equipment that you offer on one trap?
This device we have now is around $70.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not compared to $2,000.
No, it isn't. How can we go about, do you foresee making this mandatory, Jamie?
Well, that's a good question. Here in Canada, of course, we're regulated federally by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, and then provincially we're regulated by our provincial governments. But I think it's time when the fishery ministers, which we are working very much together across the land of Canada, support initiatives that lessen ghost gear in the water. We have a few programs now, but this is an extra step or another tool in the toolbox which we can use. So I think it would be, I can't actually say whether it would be regulated today or tomorrow, but I think it's something that the conversation has started, that governments must take steps that they need to protect our species and our waterways and improve the environment.
Here in this country, we sometimes are happy with making things mandatory. But what are fishermen thinking about this? Would they be interested in using these tools?
I don't think a fisherman's going to have a problem with it, number one. I mean, today we use a cotton twine in our mesh. It's called an escape mechanism, right?
Yep.
So you have cotton. And they bitched and moaned and cried, and we got used to it, okay? I'll be honest. And if government steps in and helps supplement, the cost, I think we got a winner.
Yeah, but I would also think that a lot of problems that we have had in the history, there has been innovation from private companies that brings the solution. And we're an example of that. But I think if you, like we have this huge problem now that is increasing every year, so we need to do something. There are people cleaning up, doing a great job. We are losing way more than is being cleaned up.
Yeah.
So if politicians want to speed things up, because products like ours will become cheaper as volume increases, so we'll get there. But if governments want this implemented sooner, making it mandated is not the only tool in the toolbox. You can set up different incentives for the fishermen. You can have subsidies. You can have quota bonuses. You can have a lot of different, the tag system that they have in Canada, where if you lose some of your traps, then you're fishing with that amount of traps left for the whole season, and you won't get new ones until next year. That's one incentive. So there are many things you can use as incentive for the fishermen to utilize environmentally friendly equipment.
I want to add. So, you raised two good points there, and over in Canada right now, and especially in our province, we're on the way to net zero, and the federal government and also the provincial government has brought in a lot of programs to supplement the cost for individuals to move to green technologies. We do that right now with heat pumps in our island. We do that now with solar panels and wind turbines and cars. So I think it's coming where there's the possibility where government can subsidize or look at subsidizing industry to move to using a technology like Resqunit. And I think that's one thing we're doing in our department is we're being very proactive in a couple of different programs, and it's government subsidized, it's government going out there and doing what's right. And now we just need to take the next step and also look at what we can do environmentally with our fishing industry, to purchase the necessary gear or to have that gear available to them that they can help with the environment.
Right.
And when you think about it, Jamie, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we would not be having this discussion. Impossible. Now everybody's green. Everybody wants to go in the right direction. We all know what we did wrong. And so now is the time to make a change. We can't change yesterday, but we can try to change tomorrow. And that's what's happening.
The stocks are going down, and that's something we see all over the world. Yeah. And in some places, I think it was the WWF, that found out that as much as 30% of the reduction could be because of the ghost fishing. So that the ghost fishing steals off the resources all the time. So here in Norway, you have a 2-month season for lobster fishers, for example. Yeah. But how many traps do you think are sitting on the ocean fishing 12 months a year? The amount is enormous.
Yeah. So what you actually need now is more information out there to the industry and to the people about this to make it take off. Is that right?
Yeah, we have a big job in front of us in just awareness and bringing this to different places all over the world. Establishing distribution, marketing, awareness, and thank God we have Sig Hansen as a famous face to front this. That is helping us tremendously.
Well, I mean, we're already in what is it? Australia, New Zealand,
some Caribbean states.
Yeah.
Okay.
Norway,
Canada.
I mean,
so it's spreading.
It's spreading.
It is spreading. Yeah. Our longer-term goal is to have sensors on all these units. So we want to use the fishing equipment as vessel for data sensors. And it's a shame that Nina Jensen couldn't be here today because she's very relevant to this. But if we can harvest, through the fishermen's activities, if we can harvest data about salinity, about temperature, and oxygen, then we can start to learn more about how these different species move around, how they are affected by climate change, or changes in the different temperatures and what have you. And we can share this data in bigger platforms and start to understand more about how we exploit these resources.
Well, I was thinking, we've been talking about fish and seafood only, but does this loss of fishing gear affect other species like birds or mammals?
Oh, yeah. In a big way. You see that the nets are the biggest problem there, especially with the turtles and the birds and whatever. Right. They float on the surface, and they do tremendous harm as well.
Right.
And Canada has their problems with the fishing gear alone because of the whale population and all the entanglement. So, I mean, it's problematic, Yeah. But this is one solution on one end to try to help. And I can't turn my back to it. We have to go forward with this.
Are you working with other organizations to promote this general idea, not only your specific product?
More than I can count. We have gotten so many friends worldwide, different organizations, businesses, but also on the environmental side. So we have been a member of the Global Ghost Gear Initiative, for example.
Right.
A great organization, and we've been a member since 2019 or 20. I'm not sure at the moment, but they keep adding members, and all those members are kind of in our family and easy for us to reach out to. They get new member nations. I think they have now 20 nations signed on. Last one was Monaco, if I'm not incorrect.
Yeah, right.
So it's becoming a huge community that is focused on this problem alone.
Yeah, we see parts of the problem here along our coasts, and people go out to collect rubbish along on the beaches. It's a big problem here, even though most of that comes from somewhere else.
But you're talking about generation after generation of fishermen, right?
Yep,
Same
right.
in Canada. I mean, look, the lobster fishery is tremendous, and millions of traps. And think about what they've left behind. And so that's why I appreciate Jamie Foxx, because he sees that something has to be done. And I really appreciate that, by the way. And, this is not just about government, but this is about a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle, right? You have other generations of fishermen that are going to be brought up, and they're going to do the same thing. We just got to do it better. And that's it.
Jamie?
Just a quick note here on something Sig said. A simple program we started in Prince Edward Island back 3 years ago now was we call it the Shoreline Cleanup Crew. And we hired students from across the island, and we put them in groups of 4 and 5, 4 groups. And their job is to go around the shores of PEI and pick up lost fishing gear, whether it be ropes or buoys or traps and that kind of stuff. And I got to give these students credit, because they've done a tremendous job around our shores, picking up tons, literally, of old traps and stuff like that. And it's them little steps need to be expanded. And it's great to hear these kids talk about initiatives like this and other products that are coming online, like Resqunit and other products. It helps, and it's making a difference, and the kids are noticing it, and the people are noticing it.
Looking ahead, what do you think the situation will be in, say, 5 or 10 years from now with this problem? Do you think that we will have managed to at least start solving it?
That's a good question. I think it's becoming more and more unacceptable. People want to know when they buy seafood products where their products are coming from, where their food's coming from, and what steps are being taken to protect species, not only at risk, but to make sure that our species are sustainable for the future. So I truly believe, in my mind, that me as a consumer, if I'm sitting somewhere and I know that an area is using the most advanced technology they can to stop ghost gear, to make sure the fishery is sustainable, to make sure we're protecting species like whales, that's where we need to be going. And the consumer is looking for that, and I think they're demanding it, and I think it's going to be the way of the future going forward.
So the consumers are also playing a part in this, even though they're not directly participating in it.
Yeah, good. I believe so.
Good. What do you say, Helge?
Yeah.
What will the situation be in 10 years?
Yeah, we got to remember these kids that he's talking about that is cleaning up, the school kids that are cleaning up, they're going to be fishermen someday, and they're going to be more aware of this than their forefathers. And like Stig also mentioned here, in 20 years back, we wouldn't be having this discussion at all. So there is a maturing in the society. We see that younger fishermen are easier to convince than old fishermen. They are set in their ways.
And like they're smarter.
You're an old guy. So
they are smarter. Yeah. Trust me, they're smart.
The young kids are smart. So I think there's a lot of things that are going in the right direction. But I think companies like ours, and I think governments and these organizations that we're working with, all these are very important players in if you want to expedite things, if you want to make a difference faster.
Right. So we got to start now. The future starts now.
Yeah.
And we got to do something about the future.
That's right.
Yeah. We're just coming to the end of our time. I just wanted to mention that we could have had this part of this discussion in Norwegian, but Sig's Haugesund accent is too difficult for me to understand. So I think it's better for us to do it in English. At any rate, do you have any closing remarks, any of you?
Yeah, I just thank the opportunity to to represent Canada and talk about Atlantic Canada and PEI, of course. And I think the message is very simple. Governments and industry and everybody must do their part to protect the environment, and what we can do to protect the water is part of that. Just because we can't see underneath the water does not mean there's not pollution there or environmental risk. And we need to make sure we clean that up and do everything we can to stop adding to it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Closing remarks?
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all. And I want to close by saying that we've been talking about the cleanup operation, which are great. Now we lose way more than we clean up. And my goal is to just flip that around. So we get to that point where we lose less than we clean up. If we can do that, then we're on the right path.
Right. And Sig, you're going to keep pushing this.
For me, I've done enough damage, so I gotta fix what I hurt in the first place. Number one, and I'll tell you one thing, I'm so proud of Jamie because this is a global problem.
Yes.
And having him here for me really is very special. I met him personally, and I'll tell you what, not to blow any smoke, but you can hear the passion. That means that I've got people pushing the same thing I'm pushing, which is fix it, and he's doing that. So, for me, that was that's all it took to make my day. Honestly,
very good. I want to thank you all three for the two of you for taking the time to come to Norfishing, for Jamie to taking the time to be with us. I hope you will be at the next Norfishing, and we can follow up on this thing.
Thank you. Actually, I'll just say, I'm on vacation. I'm actually at the cottage. But
I see your canoe.
And he took the time to be here.
Thank you. Enjoy your vacation. Are you fishing while you're on vacation?
Well, I actually plan to be out in the boat probably within a half an hour, 45 minutes. So.
Well.
How come you Canadians say the boat? It's a boat. Not a boat.
See, Sig has problems with accents. Okay, thank you anyway, and thank you for putting this problem on the agenda for us here at Norfishing. I wish you all a good evening, afternoon, and good fishing. Thank you.